Alrighty, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hajim Zero here, back with another quick movie review. This one's kind of one of my favorites. Um, well, not really found footage, but shot on a handheld next to the Blair Witch Project and Chronicle, of course. This one is Cloverfield. It's pretty much I don't know how to say this, but it's one of J.J. Abrams' films, and well, that's how I classify it. And Matt Reeves was a director. So this movie is pretty much about a giant monster attacking New York City. And the main brilliance I could say about this film was how it was marketed. Um, Pretty much, I think, of course, they got a page idea from the Blair Witch Project because it was the same thing why it was so successful, and also Paranormal Activity. It was just how they marketed the film, and Chronicle as well. But J.J. Abrams, he already had a name for himself, I think, with his writing credibility on Joyride, Alias, and Lost. And this came out right around the time I think Lost was ending. It came out in 2008. So pretty much the story is about this guy. He's like being promoted to like this company in Japan, and he's having a big party, and then the monster suddenly attacks. Now, what they don't tell you, you have to go out and look on different videos and sources of the Cloverfield series because it does connect with Cloverfield Lane and the God particle, which is Cloverfield paradox. Um, Pretty much spoiler alert, with all those movies being connected is really an alternate reality. But even with those sequels, they never really tell you much, pretty much beyond that the monsters are big, they overgrown the planet, you know, this, that, and the other. Now, it was a unique idea because I like, those stories of alternate realities and different possibilities. And it was just kind of odd how it was connected, but not really. It's pretty much for them to rewrite a whole new, movie using the Cloverfield monster. Um, you know, and what I also like about this is that they had multiple websites pick parting some of the pieces of the film. Like, so for example, at the party scene where the girl is actually passed out, she actually has a webcam series, and she got some of the slusho product, which is actually, I think, apparently from the monster itself. But you really have to go deep online to see all the theories and connections. Some of them I seen months ago. I have to remember off the top of my head. Um, but pretty much, pretty much that's how big the story is. Now, I don't know what's up with them with doing so many hidden things. Even shooting this film was a big secret, and even some of the actors didn't know that it was a monster movie. I think one of the actors, the one that played Marlena, I think her name is Elizabeth Caplan. She thought she was auditioning for Alias, and it wasn't until later she found out it was a monster movie. But even with the military extras in the film, even they weren't told, what was really going on. And again, I kind of understand because The Walking Dead has that issue right now. People are always on set and trying to see things and spoil certain things. And the good thing with them, especially with the whole Negan thing, they filmed everybody's death just so the shit couldn't be leaked out. And this is in 2008. It's kind of hard to do a secret movie, without having major press. But I guess that's the brilliance of a little bit of J.J. Abrams. So, I'm kind of iffy on calling him brilliant, but I put it like this: it was clever and it was smart. I think brilliance is a word where they put you at a higher level, saying you're better than smart, even though I think it's the same word. But I think Steven Spielberg had gave them a couple pointers on what to do when making this. They did a very good job at looking at a lot of YouTube footage, and they even referenced that in behind the scenes of how amateurish some of the stuff will look. And even in the film itself, they did a very good job at making it look real. Like, when I first seen it, it really had me going that I thought, they actually shut down parts of New York, and they shot certain scenes of destruction. And I really thought it was a actual city block, and it kind of wasn't. Some of it was, some of it wasn't. Um, now, pretty much another spoiler: the monster's still alive. It's pretty much a baby. If you see Cloverfield Paradox at the final ending, they show the mother, rising up. And I really thought the mother monster was going to be different because I seen, concept art of what the monsters look like. At one point in high school, I was interested in, monsters and creepy stuff. And eventually I'm writing a horror, comic book. Hopefully it turns into a video game. And Cloverfield was one of the inspirations, because that thing does look a tad bit ugly. I'm not going to mention what it is on one description on the sake the sake of censorship. Let's just say it looks like a woman's happy parts with teeth, and and it's coming at you from the sky. So, but even when Lost had came out, people were trying to make that connection. There is a small connection with Lost at the beginning of the movie. The Dharma Initiative logo is shown in one of the frames. If you pause it, they have a lot of secret things in the film. I think in the final audio clipping, if you rewind the audio backwards, the person is a message saying it's still alive. It's a lot of major things. Even they said with an official sequel idea, if you look at the bridge scene before it collapses, there's someone else filming with their camera, and it was saying that the next movie was going to be from their perspective, which I would have been interested in seeing, but I guess since Paranormal Activity came out and it kind of took that idea a little bit with connecting characters and video camera, they had scrapped it. Now the stars of the movie, it's pretty not that many. Like I said, Elizabeth Caplan is one. I think maybe saying her name wrong, but she was in Mean Girls. She was the goth chick. Even she looked hot even then. I'm not gonna lie. And I think Jessica Lucas is on Gotham. She was the one that was in the helicopter right then and there. She's like one of the main occurring characters. I don't know who she is because I don't watch Gotham. This is when I'm going off in my head when I saw online. And the guy that plays the main character's brother, he was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that's another good thing what I liked about the movie. The people who they cast, they were not really known people, So, I guess it gave a little bit to the fear. And I've been saying that from day one with horror films. I think what makes it very, very scarier is that you have average people in the movie or not known people. And because when you see famous people, I think it's less scary because if you've seen them do a certain performance and you're adapted to it, when you see them as something else, it's not scary anymore. Like take Nicole Kidman, for example, when she did The Others, it had its moments of being scary, but once you saw the twist and her being in the movie, it really wasn't scary to me anymore. Because I've seen her, of course, in Batman and one movie she did with I think it was Tom Cruise, Eyes Wide Shut, and then what's the other one that was in my head? Moulin Rouge. I know it was some older ones, And on top of that, she's a beautiful woman too. So, until I see a really good movie where they make a beautiful woman look very, very ugly or demented or make her look like some kind of dread, that I can give them that credit, Or even if it's drama, I know that's what happened with Mariah Carey, and doing Precious, there were moments where her and Lee Daniels went at it because she wanted to put on makeup and she was like, nah, you gotta look like an average person, and that's what I like. Of course, some makeup got to be added in this movie. Of course, if it's blood or scratch marks or something like that. But one of the cons I didn't like about the movie, you literally had to, explore outside of the film online to get more of the story or more additional material. Like they never really explained what was up with the parasites scratching or biting people and what it did to them. They really also didn't explain where the monster came from, but if you see the God particle or Cloverfield paradox, they kind of did do it, but it was telling and saying it's a much bigger story happening outside of what we see here. And with 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think the main connection was, of course, one of the rival companies in this movie. John Goodman's character in that movie had worked for. And again, I haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane or God Paradox, only seen like bits and pieces. And, it's very interesting. It kind of reminded me of Resident Evil a little bit with Umbrella Corporation, except you don't have super action heroes going around shooting stuff. It really creates a realistic look at dread, or best way I could say it, it could be Resident Evil, but it's from the perspective of like an average person, the non-main character. So the good thing, I liked how the script and the story was set up. Even at the time, a lot of people, I know, well, I say this back, the ones who were my peers, I remember this girl on the bus one day said that she hated this movie because, you couldn't see, everything clearly. I'm assuming she said the monster or whatever, but even what they said behind the scenes, what makes a good horror movie is that it is a bigger scope filled in with your imagination already, but we're only showing you through a small lens. And it's kind of like the interview or video I just saw on Dead Space, and even how the guy talked about Resident Evil, and even on the Dead Space itself, the video game. What made the experience scary is that what you couldn't see. It did allow your imagination to fill in the gap. Same thing with The Mist. I was pretty mad that I didn't get to see all the creatures, or they really didn't tell or say how the creatures had came into our plane in the first place. But if you watched, or read The Dark Tower, it filled all that in, and that's what a good horror movie does. Hell, even video games, depending on how good the game is, they can really fill in. Well, a good storyteller or a good person that knows how to set up anticipation of a scare, it really does a good job. They can do a very good job in filling in the gap of what's really there. I really think, sometimes it's best to give, the audience certain information, but not give them all the information. You may have created a certain backstory to everything, but at the same time, you don't want to tell them that all in the film because it'll be less scary. Another good example, despite this guy losing his credit now, the first Jeepers Creepers, even at 11, I was mixed about it scaring me, but the mystery of it, that was scary. Of course, it's practical effects, a guy with wings and whatnot coming to get you. It's the same thing that's going on in Cloverfield. If the other installments wouldn't have came out, I think the movie would have stood a little bit more stronger. And it's like what they said, you only see it through a small lens. But back to the point, it's really on, it was more the mystery of what the creeper was and how to kill it. And the same thing with the Cloverfield monster, what it is and how to kill it. And where did it come from? And none of those are really answered, and that's why I say this credit, with both creators, because, well, at least one of them don't have a sexual accusation charge against them or a past one and just ruin his credibility. Well, it really wasn't a charge. He served his time. It's just that Hollywood had plastered it out there. And then on top of that, your third movie was doo-doo, and it still didn't really explain anything. But, it really set up the story of, in this movie, of this guy trying to make, rights in with his girlfriend, that he had broke up with. And even that plot just seemed kind of bland, but it just gave a reason for him to stay in the city next to the monster and how scary it was. And that credit I do give them on, even with the B plot line with the main character's girlfriend. They created it kind of made you forget about the mystery and the dread of what the creature is for a minute. But in reality, yeah, if you have a death wish, I don't know that many people that would have went back to go and get someone unless it was their flesh and blood and they knew that they were alive. Yeah, so the way the movie ended, I really wish they did a little bit more. I guess it also did a good job at leaving up to interpretation that these people may be dead or alive. It really did set up the whole thing. If you found this camera and you started going through it and you started looking at everything that was going on, yeah, it set up, okay, they're not alive. They're pretty much dead. And most of these found footage movies that you see that's built on horror, you know, what I really noticed, the ending is always the same. They always die at the end. You know, Chronicle really wasn't horror; it was more suspense. It, you know, at least one of them has survived, but it wasn't. It was more like a superhero esque kind of origin kind of story. But that's pretty much all I have to say because I feel like I'm rambling on now. We can talk about this movie, or if you want me to eventually to do the other two, we'll talk about that in the comment section. Um, if not, I'll just move on to the next movie I'm going to watch and review, and it'll be a comedy. All four of them, actually. And yeah. So, talk to you guys later, and peace.